Natalia was diagnosed, it's almost a year ago. She was diagnosed with leukemia, ALL. So when you hear the word cancer, you think of the unthinkable.
As soon as Aubrey was diagnosed, I had no control over it. A 1 by 2 centimeter mass was found in the base of her neck. You always hear about other families that are affected by the disease, and you never think that it's going to be you or your child.
So, some people ask why would I decide to take care of children with cancer. That must be heart-wrenching. As an oncologist, I give the bad news that the child has cancer, but we also give a treatment plan.
The quality of care here at the Pediatric Hematology Oncology Clinic in Ventura is that of experts. We are a satellite clinic of Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, and so as a partnership, we are dealing with cutting-edge research and diagnoses and treatment here.
We have raised over $600,000 for the unit. It's important to have the funding because this is a unit that is never going to be self-sustaining. It is always going to need money because the care that is given is so expensive.
In our new center, we've been able to stock it with the help of the National Charity League Juniors, and we have infusion chairs. We have new safety equipment using state-of-the-art infusion pumps to deliver medications safely.
The Pediatric Hematology Oncology Clinic here at Ventura County Medical Center is so special. It's the community coming together, identifying a need to provide a clinic for families and children that have cancer and have blood diseases so that they can actually stay here in the local community instead of having traveling all the way down to Los Angeles.
When Natalia was diagnosed, we started with Children's Hospital. So it was terrible having to drive to Children's Hospital and all the side effects of the chemo and chemo itself.
I think for the families, it just takes one less thing off their plate. So a family that's already stretched and strained, having a clinic here just alleviates that and makes what's already a really difficult situation easier.
The team approach is extremely important for these kids. These kids come in very scared, very uncertain about, what's going to happen next. And each stage is a process, and, through the eyes of a child, they're helpless. They've lost total control of their world.
There's a whole grief process that's attached to a cancer diagnosis. There's just this loss of your health, loss of being able to play like a normal kid.
After Natalia was diagnosed, the news impacted all of us in different ways. And I felt like we all needed some help. She was 5 years old. She had no idea what was going on with her.
Just with that one-on-one interaction with Cindy, I've seen Natalia become more vocal here, and she's actually more comfortable making some of her own decisions.
Art therapy and play therapy is kind of magical. If you give them an environment where they can just start to play, or typically they'll pick toys that are really reflective of what's going on inside them at that time.
Children with cancer can get very ill, and some children with blood diseases can also get very ill. They need to have access to intensive care. Dr. Markham was brought to the area to build a pediatric intensive care unit. It's the first one here in the area.
When children have an illness, oftentimes it's not just one organ that has a problem. So it's important to have a center where there's multiple pediatric subspecialists that are able to keep all the care together.
There's a real advantage to having the Pediatric Hematology Oncology clinic right here in the hospital. If there is an emergency, if there is a sudden deterioration, everything that child needs is right here in these walls.
The treatment of children with cancer can involve very long days, as people might imagine. It can be as long as all day long, 8 hours, and several days a week. And from the beginning, we wanted to build a place that was warm and inviting, where the children could have some diversion while they're here.
The artwork that was provided here by the National Charity League Juniors has not only livened up the area, but it provides a calming effect for the kids.
The artwork was sort of an afterthought, but became really, really important because we were able to make it a fun place where they could be kids and have a happy place to do that, and Remy's Library is exactly that.
The inspiration for Remy's Library actually started with the Bamier family, who Remy is a young girl who had actually passed away from cancer. With the help of the women from the National Charity Leagues Junior and the Bamier family, they wanted to dedicate this library specifically to Remy in her memory so that other families and children can benefit from the resources and actually provide a place that's fun and enjoyable for both the patient and the parents.
Every time they receive the chemotherapy, it's basically one step closer to being cured, or the hope of being cured. So I think that's what the family looks at to this unit and this Dr. Bracho and Christy as hope for them, and they're bringing them closer to getting better.
Currently, Aubrey shows no evidence of disease. I see a healthy young lady growing up. I don't see chemotherapy in her future.
It's a battle for every single child that walks through this door. It's a battle for the families and the siblings that that are broken up by this. It's a battle every single day here.
I feel like we won half of the battle. We made it this far. She's now in remission. She's been in remission for 4 months.
And my intention is always to save every child that comes in. In the end, that doesn't happen today. But I think through continued research, we'll continue to do better. We already have, but it's still the #1 killer in the United States, and that's got to change. Because childhood cancer is such a major problem, we need continued research and we need continued funding to do that.
Since I've arrived, I've seen what is pretty common when children are diagnosed with cancer. In the beginning, the families are shocked and they're scared, and they're often very, very tearful and very, very sad. And as time goes on and their treatment goes on, I think their families gain strength, and they also have a realization that their child is going to be okay.
You see these kids actually do extremely well, return to life, a little braver and a little more wise than most kids, but they blossom while they're here.
If I didn't see hope, I couldn't come to work every day. If we didn't make more of a difference, if we lost more children than children who were just victorious over cancer, I couldn't do it. I absolutely couldn't do it. But the reality is that a lot more children survive cancer than succumb to it. And that's what makes it worth it. And that is hopeful.
This is definitely a place for hope. The one thing that we have here is hope.
Take my hand, don't you feel the same? Pushing hard against the good and the bad, and rearranging plans to follow through and leave this place for good.
The Ventura County Healthcare Agency would like to thank the Ventura County Board of Supervisors and Ventura County CEO Michael Powers